A gap in the armor has grown big enough that it seems Hargraves may have found a way to beat Proudfoot to the championship. While Brandon took the win at the season opener, William outscored him. Will the multi-time champion's poor qualifying performances be his rival's way to finally overcome him? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 2 of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. If qualifying winds up being a key point for the championship, it could be extra important here at Weedsport. It's hard to pass at this narrow bull ring, but let's head to our track guide to learn more.
Welcome to the Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds and home to Weedsport Speedway. Located only about 60 miles from another famous New York track, Watkins Glen, and a stone's throw away from Lake Ontario, this place puts on a lot of action in the dirt variety. This 3/8 of a mile clay surface oval is unique because of its shape. The front straightaway is straight, but outside of that, this place is totally asymmetrical. Heading into one, many guys will make a sharp apex, swing out, and then apex again for turn 2. It's not the sweeping corner that it looks like from a track map. The exit of 2 leads onto the curved backstretch that gives the speedway a D shape. But the backstretch blends into turn 3 and it's not nearly as sharp as an entry as 1. But you head off into 4 and get another apex that'll set you up for the front stretch. A lot of driving happens at 3/8 of a mile. In 1975, Weedsport's then owner founded what has become the Dirt Car Series, and Weedsport was its home. So it is more known for stock car and modified racing, but those sprints appear here as well. In fact, both USAC and World of Outlaws sprint cars make regular trips, but those big block modifieds are king here. But it is a weekly track, so you have your usual complement of local modified, stocks, and other classes. Don't let the only 11 degrees of banking and the sharper corners here fool you. This place is fast and action-packed. Now it's time to see who will rise above at Weedsport here on GSRC.
Oh, DJ, this place definitely sticks out. I'd say this might be one of the most unique dirt ovals iRacing has right now.
You're not wrong at all, Joe. The very asymmetric layout of Weedsport presents a lot of challenges. The very, very tight turn 1 that it opens up into more of a sweeping turn 2, and then flip that around. It's sweeping turn 3 that tightens up into a very narrow turn 4. It makes for overtaking a little bit more difficult around here, although we have seen some ability to throw some sliders here and there through 1 and 2. One of the big danger zones the guys are going to have to watch out for, though, is that inside retaining wall on the entry of turn 1 and the entry of turn 4. We saw a couple of seasons ago guys getting caught out by that, absolutely damaging their car. They're going to have to be very careful, and I think a lot of this is just going to be about patience, especially if you don't qualify well. This is going to be a track where an absolute premium is going to be placed on the best of those 4 laps you can run.
No doubt about that. We'll get to the qualifying in a moment. Before that, let's take a look at the championship after the first round, because as I mentioned, things not quite what you'd expect. Proudfoot not even in second place. He sits in third as Northcutt also outscored him, but it remains extremely tight between those two and Hargraves. Chris Davis and Jim Revis round out your top 5 in a nice little fight there for 4th place. I'm sure it'll get swapped around quite a bit here today after the races are over. What about the race details for tonight's event?
Well, Joe, we are racing the standard heat race format that we have come to expect from the BRL Dirt Street Stock Series here in the 8th season in the 2nd round. As we said, we are running those big, heavy dirt street stocks, and the heat race format is going to work like this. Drivers are out on track right now for a 20-minute practice session. That will be followed by a 5-minute, 4-lap solo qualifying session where drivers will set their best time. That best time will order them into the series of heat races. In those heat races, races, the top 3 will automatically advance to the A main, and everyone else will be relegated to the B main. Now, we are only sitting at 23 drivers right now, so that means everyone would make the field, but if we get up above 24, that means bumping could occur. Now, after the B main, into the feature race, and that's going to be a 40-lap monstrosity around here at Weedsport. That is going to be the only time you will see a caution flag flown, and the caution laps will not count for this series, so every lap must be raced under green. Just a couple other things, they are racing fixed setups here, so it is down to driver skill, and also this track will not reset at any point during the night, so rest assured it's going to get very, very slick.
Yeah, you can already see quite a slicked up line down bottom, but there's not too much space to get up to the high side, especially here in 1 and 2. You can see how high the 15 as Stacy Hunter takes it up there before he gets awful close to that outside wall. And there's that inside wall that we talked about through 4 that Justin Morton thankfully avoids, but it looks like he's going to park it in the warm-up as he seems pretty happy with things thus far. Now we take a look at the 61. One more car here, and we actually have, for the first time in a long time, someone not making it to the feature, because we've got exactly 24 out on the track right now.
Well, that'll certainly add a degree of difficulty here to this field. This is Ryan Seneker as he works his way around, trying to a little bit of a high line around the outside there of 3 and 4. That's not normally what I expect to be the best line. I normally tend to see a little bit more speed being gained by cutting low and then running wide, rather than running wide all the way around. But Seneker is currently in 10th right now, so it may not be the worst option.
Let's see what Chris Davis can show us potentially here, as he's got an interesting view for us with the VR. Watching to see what his viewpoint is going to be like as he's going to be looking into the corners, also trying to check to see who's around him once they start racing, and a lot of traffic. So we always love getting these VR, being able to witness exactly what it's like to race here in the virtual world, but with about as close as you can get to being in the cockpit.
Indeed, Joe. And as we are in the cockpit, look at just...
Because if they can't really see what's going on in front of them, you might have some decent-sized pileups in the end. So crossing fingers, that's not the case. Just wait for these last few seconds to tick down, and we head off to that qualifying session. Seth Castle has been at the top of the timing sheets for quite some time in this warm-up, but watch out for Bobby Rafferty. He's up there along with J.R. Shepard, still seeking that win. When is the 98 going to find himself atop the podium is the big question. A lot of people have been wanting to see answered for some time. Let's see who's the first out now that we've switched over to our quali session, and it looks like Hargraves is the first to go.
Indeed, he is the driver of the 71. Looks like a little bit of a new wrap for him here today. That blue and green really popping well against the night sky here at Weedsport. He's going to tool up the car here for his first flying lap, running high there, trying to carry his maximum momentum as he crosses over the line to start his first flyer.
He's going to try that low line like you were talking about here. And remember, they get 4 laps to try and set their quickest time. So he'll have a few chances. If he doesn't like this low line, he could try some other stuff. But right now, shortest distance seems to be the preferred way. And this time across is an 18.2. Now everybody looks to try and match him.
Yeah, we're going to have to see as these times start coming in. Rafferty unable to match, as is Seneker at the moment. Looks like Hargraves is going to hold up there for now.
Linda still yet to set a time. They got to stay off the walls here. Chris Davis puts one down at 18.3. That's actually good enough for 4th place for the time being. Minda into 9th with an 18.5 on his first time around. Second one, about a 10th slower, unfortunately.
It's not going to help him. Here comes Billy Northcutt. I do not expect Billy to be this far down in the order, but a little bit of a slide there. Seneker crosses over the line. That's going to improve him ever so slightly.
Few fast names that we're waiting on. Revis and Hayes, as well as Shepard and Proudfoot, have not set a time, but we're about to get one for Revis. This is Northcutt on screen. Looks like Jim up to 6th and for his first try. Hayes an 18.3, but I think he botched the first corner of his second lap of the 13, trying to get the speed wound back up as we watch Robbie Robinson in 7th, and he just took his last lap, and that won't improve for him.
Billy Northcutt, though, able to improve a little bit. That'll bump his way up to 9th position as he calls it a day there. Now we watch Todd Liston, the Hoosier, coming around. Joe Segala as well, the Illinois driver. He's going to be off by about 0.04 of a second there. This is the 81. Let's see what Revis has. Revis is unable to improve on that 6th place position.
Shepard coming around for his first lap. No, just started his first time lap, it looks like. So I think Proudfoot, who is on a flyer. Let's see. He's not been great at qualifying as of late. An 18.1 will put him on pole.
Oh, throwing down the hammer here for Jim Beaver Esports. Let's see if J.R. Shepard has a bit of a response here. Very, very over-rotating in the corners, but he was able to get it. I think that'll help him. Here comes Proudfoot to the line. Proudfoot not able to improve.
And Hargraves is back out on track to try and set another time as J.R. Shepard is going to try and improve on that 15th. He does not, unfortunately. And Hargraves' last lap didn't count. He must have touched the wall, has it deleted, so he won't be able to respond to the 22.
No, he won't. Justin Morton there, not able to go any faster. He's one that we normally like to watch, loves to run the high line. Don't think that's going to be as effective around here, but oh, and there's Brandon Proudfoot tagging that inside wall off of 4 that we've talked about.
We might have this sealed up, though, unless Shepard pulls out something special on his last lap. Davis improved to 5th there last time by, and J.R. Shepard not able to go quicker on that last flyer. I think that is everybody. The remaining drivers on track have all set their 4 lap times. I'm digging the new paint scheme on the 7, actually. Really enjoying that black and pink, the way that stands out here. Some names we haven't seen in a while here on the dirt side, and that has certainly filled up the grid, but that should give us even more fun, as the more the merrier, in my opinion.
Very, very much so, Joe. And having this full cohort of 24 cars out on track, it's going to make this a lot more interesting. Unfortunately, we may see a few more incidents, a few more yellow flags get thrown over the course of the race. But what that will do is it will allow for the field to bunch back up, maybe provide some guys to move their way forward a little bit surprisingly.
Yeah, in trying to move forward, we often will talk about trying to read the track and whatnot and the changing conditions. With the line here being so narrow, is there many spots where you can try and use that to your advantage by going where someone isn't?
Well, I think on corner entry there really isn't, but on corner exit it can be a decision of if the top of the track starts to slick in a little bit more, you may be able to slide up into that and get a really nice slide job to carry momentum. But you never know, because it's dirt racing.
Exactly. Well, the dirt racing kicks off now as we go to our first grid. Proudfoot on the pole with Davis starting next to him. Then rounding out the first half of the field, it will be Robbie Robinson.
Next to Robbie Robinson will be J.R. Shepard in 4th, and making up the back row, it's Bobby Hayes and Joe Segala.
A little bit surprised to see Shepard struggling here today. Guess this isn't really his track quite as much, as we got everybody now out on the grid, so the pace truck takes off. But Proudfoot, man, we keep talking and harping on that qualifying, and I guess he got sick of it, because this was an impressive run for him in quali to be able to snatch it in the first lap and not even need his other 3.
Indeed, Joe, and remember what Proudfoot has talked to us about at a couple of points. He's a big rhythm driver. He likes to get into the feel of it. In the last couple of races we've had, he sort of jumped in at the last minute and not really been able to practice. But now he was able to get that good practice time in, and I think you see that in this better qualifying.
Well, guess he is going to have to talk about practice the remainder of the season if he wants to take it to some of these fast drivers that have showed up to snatch the championship crown from him, but he could be looking at a three-peat. It depends. He's seeming fast in the first 2 rounds, but then we haven't even seen the actual racing yet here for round 2 of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. The pace truck is going to head on into the pits as the 22 is given control. And the green flag is out. Big jump there by our leader, Proudfoot. Already gets it single file with Chris Davis into the first corner, but Chris goes very wide, manages to hold on to it. Is behind him, Shepard races around the outside of Robinson.
Yeah, and that checkup from Davis really also hurt J.R. Shepard there as they try to almost go 3 wide out of turn 4. Everybody keeping it together. Davis able to hold off there for now, but Shepard does look like he has a good run here.
Liking that high line. That's gotten him into 3rd place as Robbie Robinson isn't able to respond, but this is all happening behind Proudfoot, who's gapping the field.
Yeah, that is an image we are very, very used to seeing around here in the BRL Dirt Street Stock Series. Proudfoot just starting to pull away. Side by side behind, though, between Robinson and Shepard.
Great exit off of turn 2 from Robbie that time, as a little bit of a connection problem from J.R. Shepard as he glances off the wall on the exit of 4. He could be losing out. He gets nudged to the outside as Robinson gets his elbows out.
Yeah, Shepard was almost perfectly perpendicular to the wall. Very good job to go for it. But now he's going to dive down to the inside of turn 3, try to make that low line work a little bit more. He'll be alongside as they come out of the corner, but Robinson able to carry on with that momentum.
Back into P3, which is where Robinson wants to be. Only those top 3 will automatically advance to the feature. Everybody behind will get sent way farther down the order, trying to pick their spot with the consolation race. We watch from JR as we take the white flag. You can see the huge distance that Brandon's already put up, and he's into turn 3. Heat race number 1 after putting it on the pole. The 22 wins and fights back on the challenge that he was given in those first rounds. Davis advances, Robinson advances, Shepard, Hayes, and Segala. Actually, everybody finished where they started, and we'll have to head to that consolation race, which takes us down to the 2nd heat. So at the top of this one, William Hargraves starts on the pole. Then it is Justin Morton and Billy Northcutt starting from 3rd.
In 4th, it's going to be Jason Menda, followed by Cody Jones and Stacy Hunter.
So passing definitely seems possible. Looks like a few drivers might have to get creative with it, though. So we now take off on our pace laps, but if we have anything to go by with the 22, if Hargraves gets a good jump, it looks like it is tough to get by the leader.
Yeah, it very, very much is, Joe. You know, Weedsport's one of those tracks that we do talk about. It's very hard to pass on sometimes. Last season out, we saw a very good run, but it takes a lot of effort.
Hargraves been one of the main rivals in recent times to our 2-time champion, Brandon Proudfoot. So he's going to want to have a good finish here, so we'll start on the outside of that front row alongside Brandon. But Justin Morton is hoping that he could have something to say about that. I was actually just catching up on the Majors 2.4 that we had last month because I wasn't able to call that race, unfortunately, and brushing up. And it's so funny having just watched that today and then seeing Justin come over from a GT3 Porsche here to a dirt street stock and run just as well. As the green flag waves, very good jump from Hargraves. Morton's going to slot into 2nd immediately as down low, Northcutt tries to fend off Menda.
Yeah, Menda trying to make that high line work, but not really successful. Looked like Morton got a little squirrely coming off of turn 2. I thought for a second Northcutt was going to try to press his advantage. He's going to get up the tailpipe now, maybe to avoid that inside barrier. Morton again looking a little bit squirrely off of corner exit. This is keeping, and that is Northcutt and Menda around.
Indeed, and Stacy Hunter has to check up to avoid being involved in the incident. Cody Jones gets through. Menda sent to the back of the field, but it is still Hargraves leading Morton. Northcutt somehow grasps the final advancing spot in 3rd, thankfully partly to Hunter having to slow up to avoid the incident.
Yeah, Northcutt got very lucky there. He just kind of got the car sideways and was able to get it back on. Oh, that's Hargraves.
Did he clip the inside wall? He's only going to fall to third, it appears, if he can get this one going. He's back on track. And here comes Hunter, going to try and hunt down that third place, but not many laps to try and get the pass done, as Morton is now our leader.
And Joe, I can confirm he did clip that inside wall very slightly, just on the left front of the car, but definitely enough to send him around.
Wow. So he will advance, but man, this is going to hurt him in the starting positions for the feature. I bet Justin Morton's loving all this clear track in front as he gets the white flag for 1 to go. He's got 2.5 seconds over Billy Northcutt. The 00 wondering how he's sitting in second place after nearly losing this race with contact. But the win in heat number 2 goes to Morton, as Northcutt follows him home in second, and Hargraves a surprise third.
Well, he's at least going to be able to advance into the A main on that, but that order is going to be very, very jumbled up at the front of the field when we get there.
Hunter Jones, Menda, the last of that field in heat number 2, all heading off to the consolation in a few heats time here. In the meantime, we've got heat number 3, Bobby Rafferty, with a brand new sponsor on that car, is going to be starting on the pole, with Brennan Myers in second and John Wilson starting from third.
Todd Liston's going to be to Wilson's outside in row 2, and behind them it'll be Paul Thompson and Ryan Seneker.
All right, already on their way now. And Paul Thompson back once again. I believe this is his first season with us, though, from what I can recall. We'll see how he fares in this race, as after last round he wound up in 16th in the points. But there we see that new paint scheme on Bobby Rafferty. Got himself a new sponsor.
Indeed he did, Joe, and that is a personal sponsor that he was able to get independent of his team. He's very, very proud of it. You can see it there, G-Coin. So definitely adding a little bit of flair to the normal Fistful of Bourbon Jim Beaver esports machines that we're used to seeing run here on Friday nights.
Well, I mean, when we get the sea of yellow up front, at least we can pick his out a little bit easier this time. The 77, hopefully he can avoid the same fate that Hargraves befell. He's going to have to fight off Brennan Myers to his outside as we wait for them to get going. 75 of John Wilson watching closer to that bumper to see when it starts to accelerate. And it's early as the green flag waves. That's going to get him out in front and clear of a challenge from the 25, who blinks quite a bit into the first corner. It almost looks like he loses control.
Yeah, it looked like Rafferty was very, very light-footed coming through that corner. Just wanted to make sure the car was tied up right. You can see there behind a little bit of a scrap going on between Liston and Wilson for that final transfer spot.
So Liston able to sneak by into third. Maybe he's still having to fight around the outside. Carries the speed decently, but it's not good enough. Here comes Wilson back at him.
Yeah, a little bit of back and forth here. There's going to be the momentum shifting over to Liston right now on the high side. Oh, big tire spin there for John Wilson. That is going to give the position over to Liston, but Liston bounding into the wall pretty hard.
That's exactly what Liston needed. He might just give it back. He keeps doing that. And here comes the 75 down underneath him once again, as look at the 25 try to dime it off the exit of the corner. Looks like Wilson not able to get back to the side of Liston that time, so third now solidly in the hands of the 87.
Yeah, but that battle doesn't completely looks like it's over quite yet. That is Wilson continuing to pick his nose down the inside. Oh, very, very squirrely line for Todd Liston off the corner. That's going to throw him into a little bit more danger. Liston again drifting up the track, almost contact between the two. I think Liston checked up, and that gave the position over to John Wilson.
Just got better traction. Both of them struggling off the corner. Sends a slide jump into turn 3 and 4, and that one sticks as they get the white flag with 1 to go. Rafferty is in control of it all. He's heading down into turns 3 and 4. It was a calm race for the 77 as he takes victory in heat number 3. Myers winds up in second ahead of a hard-charging Wilson, having to fight hard for that one. Liston, Seneker, Thompson will head off into the consolation.
Well, and Joe, for anybody who said that it was hard to race here and pass at Weedsport, these drivers proving us wrong here today.
Yes, indeed. And here's our starting grid for this final heat of the night. It'll be Seth Castle starting at the top of this one. Jim Revis will be in second, and Steven Spies rounds out your top three.
In fourth behind Spies will be Chris Hazlett, followed by Garrett Austin and Matt Shanoski.
Yep. Spies around in quite a bit, so glad to see Steven on the track once again. See if he's rusty or if he's still got something in. Same thing with Matt Shanoski, another name coming back over from the pavement side of things here in the Bootleg Racing League and deciding to spend an evening getting dirty.
Well, and I think in terms of Steven Spies, he's one of those guys that had a very good run a couple seasons ago, and we've heard him talk about how he likes to drive a little bit more of the technical tracks. Not as big of a fan of the Eldoras or the Knoxvilles that are just very top-line dominant. He likes being able to go down a little bit low and have some fun. So Spies may be one to watch out for. Revis and Castle obviously have a lot of speed, but Spies coming up behind could be something interesting.
Okay, next time by, we're going to get the green flag, and Castle on the inside will be under control. It's been a lot of Jim Beaver cars that have been quick today, so can Revis maybe try and steal this away from him? Here goes the pace truck as he approaches the entry into the pit lane, off to the outside. Immediately goes our leader, Seth Castle, gets the jump over the 21. Spies going to stick his nose in very close to the back end of our leader. The 21 starts to lose control with spinning cars in the back. Austin Hazlett and Shanoski involved in that.
Yeah, but up front, Spies continuing to challenge, running a little bit of a lower line there than Jim Revis, but making it work. Ooh, almost banging wheels coming down the main straightaway. He's going to try to dive it in again. Both cars going for a little bit of a modified slider line. Spies keeping it a little bit more narrow. That's costing him just a hair of momentum, but the less distance he has to travel is still coming out to his advantage.
Wants to drift up, but the 21 is there, and he can't keep the speed going. So Revis ahead of him, but this is where it tends to even out in 1 and 2. And my goodness, what a run through the bottom for the 55. He gets his nose ahead.
Gets his nose ahead, and now he's going to try to shift up here onto the slider. Indeed, he does. Revis sees it coming, tries to go for the crossover, but runs into the same problem that Steven Spies does and just wasn't able to get that car fully alongside. Now that Spies is up front, though, let's see if he can keep up this speed.
5 managing to get the overtake done. Looking low, the 21 wants to try and pull it back on him, but looks like bottom line is not quick through 3 and 4 right now. Looks like Hazlett has had some problems as he's taken it into pit lane. Might only have 5 finishers here for our last heat of the night. We're already heading to the white flag with Castle around turn 4.
This is good for Seth Castle. We've seen him have a couple of incidents in the heat races that has knocked him off some good qualifying, so happy to see him take this. Steven Spies coming back in, a very good move on Revis to be able to get himself into second.
Castle started from the pole in his heat, and he's going to finish in the same spot, taking the win. And heat number 4, Spies. Nice jump up to second as Revis settles for third, but still will advance. Looks like Austin, Shanoski, and Hazlett are heading right into the consolation here in just a moment. So, we saw some interesting racing. We definitely saw a bit of passing, but that was with 6 cars. Now we head into an event with 12 of them out on track in the consolation. This will determine the latter half of the fields, where they start the feature. And J.R. Shepard will start from the top spot in this. It'll be Stacy Hunter in second with Todd Liston in P3. Garrett Austin will start from 4th, followed by Bobby Hayes in 5th, and Cody Jones the last of the first half of the field.
In 7th, it'll be Ryan Seneker, followed by Matt Shanoski. Joe Segala will line up 8th with Jason Menda to his outside, and then Paul Thompson and Chris Hazlett make up your back row.
This has been looking like it's been moving up to the top of the track quite a bit by the time they hit that fourth heat of the night. And we've got double the cars out here for this consolation compared to what we had in the heat. So I have to imagine this is going to change all the quicker.
Very much so, Joe, and don't forget all of that dust. You can see it starting to kick up here. We've got a big number, 12 drivers out on track for this race. That means more tires, that means more dirt kicked up, and that means more dust that these guys are going to have to contend with.
Okay, so what's that going to do to those who are starting from towards the back? Their visibility. Shepard just missed out on advancing through, but here he'll have a clearer view in front of him. What does Stacy Hunter have to say about that? Stacy, you have to imagine, going to be quick, considering he ran into issues on his race. So, second pace lap now. And we wait for the green flag once they come around to that front stretch of this 0.4 of a mile oval in New York. There goes the pace truck, just picking up a little bit and ducking into the lane. Shepard has control, and he is on the throttle. Green flag is out. The 98 pulls ahead by quite a bit, but the 87 shoves it down to the inside and gets shoved. Stacy Hunter runs into the back of him. A few cars bang into the outside wall, but the 87 keeps P2.
Yeah, Hunter got a very bad start there. That did not help him. Oh, that's some contact in the back. I believe that is Hayes and Segala I see going around.
Segala getting spun. Hayes clipped the inside wall and unfortunately was all out of sorts. Still rolling though. This is a melee behind our top two. Hunter still fighting with Austin for that third position. I can't believe Hayes is actually still in fifth with all that happening.
I can't either. It is very impressive, if I am honest, Joe. Very good testament to these drivers keeping everything together. Whoa, big squirrel coming in the back.
That was Austin losing control to his outside. Cody Jones trying to take a spot. They were 3 wide briefly with Seneca in there. Oh, Seneca almost bumping the back of Austin as well. This is like dealing with New York traffic out here, as nobody seems to be able to get some clear air in the back.
Nobody's able to get some clear air, and nobody's able to get some clean vision with all this dust that is getting punched up into the air. Very crazy run in here. Looks like Liston's had a problem, so Liston dropping down the order there, and I think that's Hazlip there in the background as well.
Well, unfortunate considering Hazlip also had issues in his heat race. He's going to get it rolling, so he's going to keep going, but I think he'll do no better than 11th from the way things are going right now. And Hayes is going to be able to get by Hunter for second place.
Oh, just got his elbows out down the straight. The car was almost sideways as they were going down the straight portion of the track, and I think that scared Hunter off a little bit and just got him off the line.
Hunter actually had a mistake out of 4 as well, and that helped Hayes start to gather up to him. So, looks like he is now into second, but nowhere near J.R. Shepard, who's been cruising out front. Still 4 laps to go. Actually make that 3 as we come across the line for J.R. and we watch the battle for third position.
Yeah, that is Stacy Hunter ahead. Cody Jones in the 27 trying to follow. Oh, big bobble from Cody. We've seen him do that a couple of times. He likes to run very fast into the corner and kind of diamond it off a little bit at the high point, and that finally came back to bite him.
Yeah, he's all the way down to 8th. Unfortunately, everybody screamed by. So Hunter now in a much more comfortable position, and Jones is having to head in to take his spare car. He must have gotten bad damage from hitting that inside wall. Here you see your third place runner who's about to take this white flag, and J.R. Shepard is happy to see that white flag because the next car in front of him is lap traffic. The checkers are going to prevent him from having to deal with that headache, and a win in the consolation makes up for things for the 98. Bobby Hayes, what a run from 5th to 2nd as Hunter finishes in 3rd.
Yeah, Garrett Austin and Jason Menda rounding out your top 5 there. Obviously some big losers that we saw falling down the order. Cody Jones, Joe Segala, Matt Shanoski, they had some good runs here and there, but the cards just not playing out for them.
Only 9 cars managing to finish. Jones, Hazlip, Liston, all having DNFs in the consolation. But the good news for them is that they will be able to start the feature. The bad news is they will start from the very back of a 24-car field. Okay, what did you learn from all of that there, TJ? There was a lot going on in that consolation.
Yeah, there really, really was, Joe. What I learned is that the Highline doesn't look necessarily terrible around here. We saw some guys executing that to a pretty good level. Now that the track is slicked in, that there's definitely a cushion coming up on the high side that you can push to. But as you saw with Stacy Hunter, I believe, you don't want to push it too hard. It can come up to bite you. You got to be very careful and you've got to be very precise. The other big thing is getting the right exit off of turn 4. That is such a tight corner to come off of. If you get a little bit too much speed in that, you get a little bit too much wheel spin, it'll cause the car to slide and slip a little bit, and that's going to present you as a chance to be overtaken going into turn 1.
Here's the other question, though. We have double file restarts on these cautions, which we're going to have once we get to the feature. Now, they're going single file when they get to the last 10 laps, but before that, because I'm going to take a safe assumption that we'll have a caution before we get to 10 laps to go, which side do you want to restart on, outside or inside?
I think you're going to want to take the inside, Joe. It looks like if you look at turn 4, there's a little bit more grip down to that inside line. You can angle the car a little bit more, and truthfully what you do is you almost put it on a diagonal to that outside retaining wall, so you are driving perfectly straight off the corner until you're onto the straight, and then you correct it. And what that'll do is that will prevent the guy to your outside of really being able to make a move to get around you.
Are you sure we've got cars out on track? I'm not sure I see any on our screen right now.
It's just the dust. You got to kind of... We'll get some fans out here and see if we can get through on that. There, oh, great overhead view. Look at all that dust getting kicked up.
Oh, goodness. I remember my first dirt race going to... Wow, yeah, that is a great example right there, just how hard visibility is going to be at times. My first dirt race going to... didn't know to expect that, and thankfully had a jacket with me and just basically kind of put it over most of my face as good as I could, and my eyes just watered the entire night. Couldn't hardly watch the race.
There is a great dirt track out in the greater Los Angeles area called the Paris Auto Speedway. It hosts the USAC and CRA national event every year. If you haven't been, I highly recommend it. But what makes that track so special is there is actually a grandstand elevated on the entrance of turn 1, so you can see the cars charging right at you. The only problem is that anybody who knows dirt cars knows that that's where the dust and dirt's coming to kick up on you. So if you want to go sit there, they literally sell bandanas and like the goggles that you would wear in high school science classes, so you can sit in turn 1 and watch it.
Awesome stuff. I love that. Yeah, shout out to Lawrenceburg Speedway, by the way. I'd love to get back and watch one out there eventually. One of the local dirt tracks we have here around the tri-state in Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. Just about a minute and a half left here in Weedsport as we see Brandon Proudfoot, currently our quickest driver in the warm-up. Not too many surprises there, but he hasn't faced off with Bobby Rafferty, who unfortunately is going to have to climb a bit before he can get to his teammate. The question is, by the time he gets there, will Proudfoot have scampered away?
Well, we'll have to see. I wouldn't put some cautions coming in to maybe change a few things up. That is one of the key things to keep in mind here.
Yeah, and this is going to be a tough one, I have a feeling, for both the conditions and for the drivers having to deal with the nature of this track, but also some of the poor qualifying that some have experienced. You got to think about those also in the consolation race who get sent all the way to the back. It's not just those who maybe didn't finish quite as high as they wanted in the heat races, but that consolation gives you a tall mountain to climb and gonna have to hope that those cautions fall well and that you don't get caught up in somebody else's mistake.
Well, and Joe, you kind of mentioned it early on. One of the problems being so far back in the field with all of this dust is if there's a spinner in front of you, your vision is so limited, you may not be able to see it and get on the binders in time.
That's a good point. So wonder if some of those drivers who should be maybe a little bit farther up will find themselves unfortunately collected just due to the inability to avoid problems as the checkered flag comes out. In the warm-up, it's time to go racing for the feature. It's the big show here in round 2 of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. And up at the top, it is Brandon Proudfoot on the pole with Justin Morton. Starting in second, Bobby Rafferty will be P3. Seth Castle starts in 4th out there. You've got Chris Davis with an excellent 5th place in the feature. Billy Northcutt starting down in 6th. Can he get some better speed tonight and climb up for a podium? Brennan Myers will be 7th as Steven Spies starts 8th. Then it's Robbie Robinson in 9th and William Hargraves in 10th.
In 11th, it's going to be John Wilson. To his outside, it'll be Jim Revis. J.R. Shepard starting well down the order in 13th, followed by Bobby Hayes, Stacy Hunter, and Garrett Austin. Jason Mendez is going to be on the inside of row 9 with Matt Shanoski to his outside, and making up the last of your top 20, it's Ryan Seneker and Joe Segala.
After that, the last driver to actually see the finish in the consolation was Paul Thompson. Cody Jones, Chris Hazlip, and Todd Liston round out the field, starting in that order from the last few down. So waiting for that pace truck to go. There it goes, and we are on our way for 2 pace laps around here. If I was anywhere from about 5th on down, DJ, I'd be nervous tonight.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Joe, especially diving into this super tight first corner, not really knowing what is going to happen. I do have to say, though, however much we talked about running down on the inside line being the advantage, if I'm Bobby Raff, or if I'm Brandon Proudfoot, I know Justin Morton's to my outside. He likes to be able to run that high line a lot of the times. That would scare me ever so slightly.
Wonder at what point do we get some of the total downforce guys out here and joining Justin Morton to try and team up against some of these Jim Beaver Esports guys and give them even more of a challenge. It certainly looks like Justin Morton is eager for a win. Let's see if he's got the speed to go up against a double champion, as our defending crown is going to have the most desired line and be able to decide when we go off of the green, because the pace truck now heads off into the pit lane. Proudfoot, is he going to go early again? There he goes. Green flag is out. A little bit of wheel spin, though, for the 22. Not the biggest jump we've seen compared to previously. He tries to hug the bottom line as Justin Morton rides the high side down to the bottom. The 77 challenges for second.
Yeah, and William Hargraves looking very aggressive in the back there, taking it 3 wide. But once again, that is Rafferty down to the inside. Morton, wow, almost contact between the two. Morton able to retain that second place position, running the high line.
Fair racing from the 77. He left just enough space for the 9 to squeak through, but he got a better exit off of turn 2. And he's going to try and slide in front of him as we watch from the onboard with Davis. Look at him glancing around frantically, trying to figure out where everybody else is.
Yeah, it's exactly what you've got to be doing. Don't need to show it, but Chris Hazlip has had a problem. He has parked the car, and it looks like Seth Castle now maybe getting able to get a little bit of a move there. But that's Steven Spies out to Davis is outside, starting to push his way forward.
Castle to the inside of Morton, but he doesn't get the job done quite as they come around 1 and 2. Morton's still running that high side, doing his darndest to make it stick. The momentum's good, but it seems like maybe that inside is coming back.
It certainly does. I think there's just enough moist dirt down on the inside to make it work. If Morton can just keep his nose alongside Castle coming out of the corner, he should be able to be okay. But there you can see the two of them absolutely fighting it out. I think Morton's got better speed off of 4 than he does off of 2. Now goes for the inside.
They switch around. Morton tries to do what the 90 was doing, but he can't do it as well. And Castle finds himself into 3rd. So Morton gets in behind him. That's Northcutt down there in the 00, just riding behind. Another low line there from Morton. It's not as low as what we saw from the 90, though. I feel like he's missing out on the grip.
Yeah, I think he is. Although he was able to get a little bit of a gap there to Billy Northcutt. That'll be a good breather there for him. Northcutt, always a fierce competitor. That gap, ooh, we've had a problem.
Well, yep, first caution, it's Shinosky. If I'm honest, I'm actually pretty proud of him making it to lap 7, especially with the craziness out there. And unfortunately for Matt, he's another victim of that inside wall through turn 4, as poor J.R. Shepard was kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, indeed. Let's watch this as he comes around, over-rotates the car a little bit, out of control, noses it in to the side of the wall. So that's not as massive of contact as we've normally seen there in the past. Riding on board with J.R. Shepard here, Joe, this is just a moment of a hapless passenger.
I mean, he could see the incident happening at least, but just he was already boxed in at the bottom. He had no place to go. It was a pretty hard hit to the outside on top of things. So hopefully his car still handles decently after this.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at it right now as they cross the start-finish line. Definitely a little bit of crumple damage to JR's machine, but I don't think that's going to be deadly. These street stocks are a little bit of a tank. They can take a beating.
You can see him kind of wiggling the wheel back and forth. I think he's trying to feel it out to see how it handles for him. Well, our answer on the restart appears to be inside, so you called it. Brandon Proudfoot likes the tighter line as they go double file, but this time it's his teammate Rafferty to his outside. Will that change things at all?
Well, their pace was pretty similar over the past couple of laps, so I think this could really play out to be a fun little race here. And they're going to have some real problems behind them. I mean, that is Castle and Morton behind them. Don't watch out for Northcutt and Spees in the row behind them as well.
Okay, here goes the pace truck, and Proudfoot waiting on it. He goes once again. Ooh, great jump there from Rafferty. He holds a little bit of overlap down into the first corner. Can that pinch down his teammate enough? Doesn't seem like it, and here comes the 90 on him once again as Seth Castle. Oh, we got an immediate caution. It looks like Cody Jones for this one.
Well, unfortunate that we only got one lap in here, but I think the beneficiary out of that may be Seth Castle. I think he may have just had his nose ahead when the yellow came out.
This is a single car incident for the 27. Yeah, you're going to see him unfortunately find another one of those concrete barriers. Is that, was that Shepard avoiding him? Looks like Matt Shinosky. Got to thank his lucky stars.
Yeah, very much so. And this is an almost identical incident that we saw earlier. You see what happens. It just kind of over-rotates the car in the middle, Joe. That comes from you've got your left front tire down onto that moist dirt with a lot of grip, and you put just a little bit too much force back into the rear tires, and that just sends the car around in a little bit of an uncontrollable slide.
He must have either hit the chassis pretty hard or damaged the suspension because he had to come into pit lane, unfortunately. So he'll bang away at it, try to come back out, see what points he can salvage. So Proudfoot was able to stay ahead of Rafferty, and Rafferty got kind of lucky there. Castle was challenging him. If the caution had come out at just a few seconds before or after, he potentially could have lost that P2.
Yeah, exactly. He got very, very lucky on that. But we're just going to basically reset here, do what we did last time. We saw what these drivers can do, and I think this is going to be another electric restart out of these Dirt Street Stocks drivers.
Okay, so are we getting into a spate of yellows? We're only on lap 8 now. We don't want to count these one at a time. We want to be ticking them off in chunks before we get another yellow. And the pace truck is going to give way. Last time we saw the 77 have a pretty good start. Not as good this time. And he could be under threat once again from the 90. Here comes Castle. And, ooh, a little bit of a glance to the outside wall from the 77, and the caution is out. I think Castle might be given the spot. This time, Bobby Hayes, I think. Ooh, a lot of cars actually involved in this one.
Well, caution's breeding cautions here, as we like to say, Joe. That is Bobby Hayes right there. You see the 13 on your screen. Let's follow this out. So that is the drop of the green flag right there. I believe that is the 75 to his outside, John Wilson. Oh, that was Myers that got a little bit sideways, and that just collected quite a few cars.
Yeah, he was getting sideways, and Revis, unfortunately, could not get out of way in time. Tipped him the rest of the way around. Looks like John Wilson involved, Bobby Hayes, Garrett Austin, and Jason Menda as well. Ooh, and someone coming in very late. I think that was Paul Thompson in the 30, who found himself barreling in at the very end of the blue and yellow.
Yeah, indeed. That was just a matter of not being able to get these cars slowed down enough. Well, Joe, it looks like, if my eagle eyes don't deceive me here, that we may be doing a single file restart.
Let me see. I'm not seeing that in the chat from the stewards. So I think we should still be double file.
No, they're getting into it. They're getting into it. They were just staying single file for a good long while there.
They do have the ability to switch it over to that, though, so I wouldn't be too surprised if we get another quick one that they decide they've had enough of that and order the drivers to just go one by one. Because we're only on lap 9, going to restart on lap 10, and it's been a caution literally every lap that we've restarted since that first yellow. We're missing Robinson currently, who's taking repairs, as well as Shinosky. Everybody else is back out and running. So 22 cars going to take the green here on lap 10. Backing him up a little bit. Proudfoot waiting for it, and he's on it. Green flag is out. Once again, a very good start, but this time look like Rafferty can chop down in front of Castle, which he does. We got a spinner once again. Oh, and since it was way high up the order, plenty of people get involved. This was Hargraves, I think, our points leader coming into this race, is the one that kicked this off, but he got some help from Chris Davis.
Yeah, let's see this. This is Hargraves in that 71, the blue and green machine. Davis on the high side there in that pink and black number 7. Davis dives in a little bit. Hargraves had to check up from Spees in front of him. Not real fault on anybody's part there. I think Davis wasn't anticipating that checkup. Hargraves had nowhere to go, and a lot of those drivers just trying to stay out of problems.
Nobody escaped that one. Hayes slowed up in time, but he's laps down, and Cody Jones is a lap down as well. So basically everybody on the lead lap wound up piling into a mid-pack Schmazel, and we could see a few more having to come down pit lane to take their spare cars. We have only hit lap 10. Now, they do have a time limit on this race at 40 minutes. Now, I'd have to check and see how long we are into this thing officially to see kind of how we're doing on that time. I really hope we don't hit the time limit on this.
Well, Joe, according to my clock, we are just at 10 minutes and 30 seconds. So if we keep at this pace, we may have a little bit of problem on it. But if we get a couple more green flags, I think we'll be good.
Okay, so we're going to try and keep an eye on that just in case. Hopefully we don't have to, and we get a lot more green flag running here in just a moment. Another double file restart. So they seem to have confidence that we can get these guys rolling and running pretty well, but we are going to extend the green, it sounds like. I'm guessing they don't have everybody up to the tail of the field to the extent that they're happy yet. And I see Paul Thompson and John Wilson still trying to find their way into position.
And that is obviously a decision by the live race stewards here to extend that green by one more lap to make sure everything gets good. Obviously, with no yellow flag laps counting, makes things a lot easier. Now, the one problem in going on and doing another restart like this is people may be getting a little bit wise to the way Brandon Proudfoot is starting to run these races. He may find himself a little bit more under pressure from guys like Rafferty or Morton or Castle, who knows what he likes to do.
Yeah, I think eventually he's going to get caught out by something here, because Hayes is going to start to pick up on his habits. be able to pull something over on him, or just sheer luck of the draw. You get enough of them. As the green flag comes out, it's not going to be this time, though it is decent around the outside. And my goodness, look at the 9 absolutely chuck it in, but it was too hot into the corner. As he starts to lose time, the 77 able to get a nose underneath the 22. Now he moves up high as Proudfoot stays low.
Oh, and Morton looking to thread the needle there a little bit, but that's not going to work. Castle got thrown a little bit offline. Morton again going for that high line. He's just got to catch the momentum around the outside. There he's got it, but it's the question of if Castle and or Rafferty can close him off. But it looks like that is Proudfoot starting to streak away a little bit here. Ooh, a little bit of a bobble there from Bobby Rafferty.
Still, Castle's not close enough to try and take advantage. Speeds side by side with the 9 of Morton as we come onto the back stretch. And it looks like Spees might be able to take that 4th place as we still see 2 different lines between Castle and Rafferty, and try to pull the over-under, nearly gets into the back of Bobby.
Ooh, and that was a big checkup for Seth Castle there going into the corner, but he was able to get the power down really well. It's a drag race down the back stretch. Castle to the inside, Rafferty to the outside.
Almost think the push that he experienced from behind actually helped him, but once again he gets pinched down as Rafferty won't let him have the high side off the corner, and that gets some more speed.
Oh, in the background there saw somebody sliding up big time. I think that was Billy Northcutt. And here comes Castle again, trying that line. If he can get the launch here, he may have it. Tries to drift up, but no. That high line through 3 and 4, absolutely proving wonderful. Over rotation there from Castle. A little bit of contact with Spees.
Spees checks up, finds himself suddenly falling victim to Morton getting by, as that honestly causes a domino effect. Here comes Chris Davis along with Hargraves. Hargraves on a recovery after his big incident, side by side down the front stretch. Spees still trying to play defense.
And Morton once again coming back to that high line. There it looks like it's working on Steven Spees. We've seen the effectiveness of that high line through 3 and 4. Spees tries to go on a little bit of a midline to keep as much momentum as he can, but I think that's going to shift back to Justin Morton, and indeed it does. When they cross the start-finish line, he's going to have a car ahead. That is Brendan Myers ahead. That's lap traffic. Spees.
And caution's out. And it looks like Davis caused it, but was that an incident farther up afterwards?
I'm not sure. Myers has been down in the order. He was a lap down. This is Chris Davis. This is the initial incident that you talked about, Joe. Dove it down to the inside there. Did he catch? Yes, he caught the retaining wall. Little hit to Revis there as he went around.
At least we haven't had anybody flip over like we saw in some of the previous seasons here. Drivers hitting that little ramp coming up to it. Yeah, Spees just got a little bit of a knock into Myers. Side to side, though, so it shouldn't be any sort of issue between them. Up at the front, we weren't watching it because there was so much action behind. Proudfoot was able to keep himself well enough away from Rafferty that he really wasn't challenged. Rafferty and Castle didn't swap anymore despite some early back and forth between them. So it looks like once Rafferty was able to get himself fully ahead, he didn't have to worry about Castle too much, but those restarts have been a killer for him.
Yeah, they really have, bunching up the field a whole bunch. And I've got to think, if I'm one of those Jim Beaver Esports drivers, I am very, very thankful that I'm able to lock down the front row here like this and kind of present a double block to anybody behind, because I've got to think that either Morton or Castle, without that there, could have a real run at Bobby Rafferty.
Okay, going to restart on lap 19, but we've been waved off for the restart this time by the stewards not happy with the way that they were lined up. We've been losing more and more drivers, so this place has been unfortunately giving out attrition like candy now. Shadowski's gone, Liston is out of the race, Cody Jones has retired, so does Brendan Myers, and unfortunately for J.R. Shepard, if he ever had visions of the championship, it certainly must be out the window, as he's also disconnected from the server.
Yeah, it's a bit of a heartbreak there for JR. We've been cheering him on for the past couple of laps, but now everybody gets double file, ready to get racing.
Okay, so we're starting to get some green flag laps now, but it's still quite a bit of chaos out there. We've lost a few. Will that help them clean it up a little bit? We're almost to the halfway mark of this race. Oh, bit of an awkward start for the 77. Was pointing the wrong way for a second. And here comes Castle, seeing if he can try and take advantage, but that low line doesn't have a whole lot of speed. And we got another caution immediately. I see Wilson, Thompson, and Hazlip turned around in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think Wilson got a little bit squirrely there, and that threw him off. There you can see contact there. I think that's Menda that got into him. That's going to send Wilson around. Just kind of an unfortunate series of events.
Yeah, that was Thompson in the blue and yellow, actually, that caught him. I think Wilson was trying to slow up for Segala and Menda, with those two just slowing up in front of him. And even though the 75 got the memo, the 15 did not, or excuse me, the 30 did not.
Yeah, indeed. Now, the big loser out of all of that, Joe, was Steven Spies. He's all the way down into 6th place right now. He got a little cockeyed coming through 1 and 2, and that sent him back down the order. He is now behind Morton and Hargraves.
Well, that's not going to be an easy one, but he, like I said, he still has at least half the race to try and play catch up on that one. How about Hargraves back up into the let's see, looks like the 5th position here. Yeah, 5th position now that they've lined back up. I thought his day might be over because he took a number of hits onto that car when he got involved in that big wreck partway through the race, but he's not giving up.
No, he's not, and you can certainly tell there is some damage to the front of that 71 machine, but he continues to go on, getting ready here to go green.
So, it's come back. We've got the cautions breed cautions problem once again. Can we get out of that a little bit quicker this time, or are we going to get a whole bunch more of them? Just sending the cars piling into each other. Often seems to happen into turns 1 and 2. So I wonder if we need to see a few drivers showing some patience. Green flag is out. No patience for Proudfoot. He wants to get back to the front. He wants to lead this race. Castle, once again, liking that bottom line and making good with it as the 77 has to fight back.
Yeah, Rafferty touched the outside wall there on the exit at 2, and that definitely got him, but there's that outside momentum coming back to Bobby Rafferty, banging doors a little bit there with Seth Castle. Morton and Spies both on the high side as well. Northcutt trying to follow in behind Castle on the low line.
Castle's been trying for this 2nd place so long, all throughout this race. And does he have it? No, he's not brave enough to try and pull up in front of Rafferty. That gives Rafferty lots of momentum on the high side.
It does indeed, and I thought for a second there Justin Morton was going to have a little bit of something, but Castle able to be at least next to Rafferty. Rafferty very, very sideways off the corner. Castle has to back off again, and that's Northcutt around.
It's Hargraves, and Hargraves unfortunately making contact with Chris Davis, who's going to lose some positions. Poor Chris was way back down the order, too. Oh, he was trying to avoid around the outside and unfortunately found himself hitting a car other than Hargraves. Williams eventually able to wait for things to clear and sent now down to 14th right after we had just praised his progress. Gonna watch one more time here with the 71.
Yeah, just clips that inside wall. Very lucky for Revis that he was able to avoid it. There you see that contact with Davis. For the record, doing the complete right thing there was Northcutt, just holding onto the brakes.
I'm curious, and maybe our peanut gallery can weigh in on this. Does the real track see a lot of cars clip that inside wall and cause accidents? It seems like a really bad placement for that barrier.
I mean, I have to imagine that it would, Joe. It's not exactly inaccurate as iRacing is, so I would have to think that would definitely come out to bite it.
Well, I think we're restarting this time because we got double file once again. Here we go. This time, not as good of a jump for the 22. The 77. Gonna go the long way around, hucking it in, trying to see if that cushion will help him at all, but the answer's no, as Castle's really got that low line picked out in 1 and 2. He's gonna try and slide up this time. The slide job works. He gets a little bump, carries the speed behind him. Some bumping and banging between speeds, and I think that was Revis as well.
It was indeed. Great move there for Seth Castle. Now he's going to have the preferred line coming through 3 and 4 here. Let's see if he's able to hold it or if Bobby Rafferty's going to try to throw that slide job and cut him off. Rafferty gives him just enough space, and that's going to be Castle crossing the line in P2.
Tables have turned for these two, and we get another caution. You see William Hargraves yet again, along with Paul Thompson. I think this starts with the 30, and then Hargraves finds himself with no place to go.
Yeah, there you can see the 30 spinning around, and Hargraves looking like a little bit of a helpless passenger here, riding on board with the number 30, coming around. Ooh, I think that was actually contact in the back from Hargraves. Thompson just having to check up off of the corner, and Hargraves not anticipating just how slow he was going to be at that portion of the track.
Lap 25 now. Thompson's come into pit lane. I think, is this his first time in there? Potentially. He's actually having quite a few problems in pit lane. It's a sharp hairpin to get turned around and find your pit stall, and he's having a heck of a time making it work. I'm not sure if he's going to join us back out on the track, the difficulties that he's showing for us. So, we'll restart on lap 26. This might wind up being the longest race we've seen here on the BRL Dirt Series.
Yeah, it will indeed, may, Joe, but I will say, and knock on every bit of wood you have at home, viewers, that we do tend to see as these races do get some high attrition, that near the end they tend to go green for a little bit longer.
By the way, we are down to 15 minutes to go, but the good news is that even if we keep running at this pace of cautions, we are likely to be able to see the end. But if we start having even more of them, where they go back to back again, we might be in trouble. So, crossing your fingers that we don't get that, and that this goes green to the end. Proudfoot waiting on it. This time it's Castle to his outside, and Castle can't make a difference. Does he try to go low? Is he going to go high? He's going to go midline. He likes the bottom. Doesn't like to get up to that cushion. The 77 hangs with him. Down below is Justin Morton, also riding the rim in the 9. And they're going to continue to swap with that low and high line for second place.
Yeah, it's a great momentum run for Castle off of turn 4. Looks like Rafferty may have a little bit of something. They're going to be parallel coming down the back stretch. Morton just watching in reserve here. Here's where that high line tends to come into play. Good momentum there. Rafferty not able to cover him off. He's now got to be careful. Morton's running that same thing, and he may be able to get by the 77.
Morton's been watching this just about as long as those two have been battling. He's got to be taking a few tips, figuring out where the fast lines are, how to get by people. As around the outside, the 90 has a better run, but doesn't have the nose ahead. And we get another caution. Trying to figure out who was involved in this one. I'm not seeing it. Now Hargraves, don't think it was Hargraves, although he was marked as stopped. No, maybe it was Hargraves.
It was indeed, Joe, coming into turn 3, checked up a little bit behind the 75, got into him, and that just kind of sent him spinning.
Yeah, I think he glitched a little bit too, which is why he had to come to a halt. It wasn't a big hit, so he had to take a tow, kind of ending his bad day. And so our points leader also finding an incredible setback. Proudfoot still leading this race, and he came in 3rd. Northcutt not doing so hot, if we're honest. He's down in 8th position. really has been a mixed bag for him, and right now he's got a lot of ground to make up if he wants to try and at least hold on to Proudfoot after the caution is over, after the race is over, rather. I think we're going 1 to go next time by.
I think that's right, and the only point of solace there for him is going to be the fact that this is early in the season. Things can happen. We've seen Proudfoot make mistakes. It's not often, but we have seen it, so anything can happen over the course of this long season.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's not impervious to them, so could be that we get one of the rare ones, especially on these many restarts. And then Rafferty is going to try and take advantage, but he got lucky this time over Castle and got that second place as the yellow was thrown. Pace car is in. Here we go. Green flag is out. Oh, great start from the 9 once more. Actually bounces it off the wall as he goes past the start-finish line. But he can't keep the speed up around 1 and 2, so the top 3 once again are Proudfoot, Rafferty, Castle.
Rafferty had a really good start there. He was able to pinch his teammate Proudfoot a little bit going into turn 1. Ooh, big check up behind there from Justin Morton. Let's see if he's able to do that again. He's going to let that car really slide out wide, try to take maximum momentum. But, oh, man, look at that. Proudfoot starting to pull away.
Yeah, he's liking P2 and P3 fighting as much as they can. And how about Revis? Oh, and he's going to give a little bit of a nudge to the 9, which sends him into the outside wall. A scrape for him. He falls back behind Spees, so Morton is in 6. But Revis now up to P4 after starting this race from 12th.
That's a really heck of a drive there for the 21. He's now got his sights set on Seth Castle. Could we see a Jim Beaver Esports lockout of the podium here today, Joe?
I wouldn't put it past them, but he's going to have to fight hard. We've seen how treacherous it is trying to get by the 90 of Seth Castle. He's not going to give it up lightly. We're down to 8 laps to go. Make that 7 laps to go now. So we're ticking them off. We're getting towards the end. We got 11 minutes left on the clock. So I think we should be able to finish this one by laps and not by time.
I think you should be right, Joe. Revis, though, looks like he's not exactly gaining the ground that he needs to, but we've got another caution.
Yep, Chris Hazlip in the 73. He's got a lot of damage on the front of the car. He's going to touch the 34 of Austin in a bad way into the corner, and it's going to turn him right into the outside wall.
And just another hard hit. Guys trying to fight for the same position around here. So it's going to be a blow to Hazlett, but that is going to set up what is ostensibly going to be a 6-lap shootout to the finish.
Like I was saying before, now 10 minutes left on the clock, so we're still doing pretty good. So I think we should be able to still see them finish based on laps, unless we get more of those first corner wrecks on the restarts. Restart, as you mentioned, with 6 laps to go, but critically, we are within 10 laps to go, so it is now single file.
It is. That's going to make passing a little bit more difficult for all of these drivers. It's certainly going to throw a wrench into the works, and they're going to have to fight even harder when we get going.
Boy. Okay, so now this means that Seth Castle is going to have a tough time trying to get by the 77, but I can't imagine he's going to give this one up. Green flag is out, 6 laps to go, down into the first corner. This one looks as orderly as it's ever been in this race. And I spoke too soon. Segala spun it around and gets turned on his lid from Robbie Robinson, absolutely plowing into him.
Oi, 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 let's take the replay of this. There you see, boom, boom, boom. Hard hits all the way around on this very, very slick Weedsport track.
Unfortunately, in racing, when you go nose to nose, it is not an Eskimo kiss. This winds up being just a bad time all around. Oh. At least he lands right side up. Not sure how good his car's going to be right now.
Yeah, I'd give that about a 9 on the landing and about a 5 on the execution there, Joe. He's going to have to do better if he wants to go for gold, but always good to see somebody get back up on their lid and get it going the right way.
So how many are we left with actually out on track right now? I think we've got 12, 13 cars rolling. Davis is in pit lane getting repairs. Not sure if he intends to come back out. Seneca and Hayes have also been getting repairs, but they've been in there for many laps at this stage, so I don't think we'll be seeing them. We only have 9 on the lead lap, so realistically only 9 cars are in contention for the victory here today. Restarting now with 5 to go and down to 7.5 minutes left.
Yeah, it'll be a real shootout at the line. I do think they will be able to get it done, but it's going to be very, very tight on that time limit.
So your major players, if you're just joining us here in round 2 of the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series, is Proudfoot leading. Rafferty, his teammate, hasn't been able to really challenge him. He's been on a rear guard all night against Seth Castle, who sits in 3rd. And one of our hardest chargers is Revis, who is in P4, who wants to make it a sweep on the podium for the Jim Beaver Esports. One other shout, Joe Segala has gone from 20th to 9th today. Very good run from him as the green flag now flies, and we're down into the first corner. The 22 easily holding on to the lead, watching to see if anybody else had similar problems this time. So far, we are good. Nobody getting turned around, although Paul Thompson returns to the track, and I think he's going to pull off, making sure that the leaders are not... Oh, and no, he's going to cause the caution by pulling to a halt. I wonder if the stewards are going to ask the 30 to go back and park it. Don't think he's going to have many friends after that one. We had a good restart finally. And we get slowed down once again.
So now we get down to a restart with 4 laps to go, just building the tension here across the board, Joe.
Yeah, I have to imagine that this is such a mixed bag for Rafferty and Castle. It's keeping them close to Proudfoot, but it's also robbing them of chances to try and really build up momentum and attack and figure out how to go by the 22.
Yeah, indeed, especially on a track like this where you've got to kind of feel it out and you almost need your driver in front of you to make a mistake or two. Having to stop and start like this, you just can't get that momentum to build the way you want it.
We're down to 5 minutes left to go now. It's going to start getting tight. Yes, the laps go by in about 18 seconds in these cars. So even with a minute left, they're going to be able to take 3 laps. But remember, these laps don't count when they do these cautions. So we could take a bit to get to 3 to go here, because we're now to 4 to go down into the first corner. Ooh, and I think it was a little too narrow that time for the 22. That could have been the worst restart we've seen from him yet.
It was indeed. Rafferty started to try to press a little bit in there. Now Castle's going to try to shove his nose down to the inside of Rafferty. Rafferty's got more speed mid-corner, but it looks like Proudfoot's able to hold out. They cross the line here. 3 laps to go. Here they come.
Maybe he's just protecting the inside because he took it really shallow again, just cutting them off to make sure that they can't get underneath him and parking it at the apex down through 3 and 4. A little bit of contact between the 77 and the 90. 2 laps to go. If we get to the white flag, we're going green to the end as they come out of 2 this time. It's still tight up behind our 2-time champion. Brandon Proudfoot is going to have to work for it, chucking it down to the inside. Rafferty makes a bit of a desperate move, but it doesn't produce anything. White flag. Let's get to the finish here as the checkered flag awaits our top 3. It's not looking like it'll be a 1, 2, 3 for Jim Beaver Esports, but a 1, 2 would be just as good. And the win will go to Proudfoot here in round 2.
Rafferty able to come in behind him, and Seth Castle finally doing a great job to improve on his race pace after what we've seen him in qualifying. A great run for the 90. Jim Rivas and Steven Spies, who is making the return to the dirt side, coming home in a very respectable P5.
As the fireworks flare, we are going to head to a quick break and let Proudfoot burn it down in celebration. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome to Weedsport Speedway, where we just watched round 2 of the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series. Proudfoot led every lap of that feature, and he seemed to make good on our criticisms of his qualifying after he really wasn't anywhere but P1 in every single session he was in other than the practices. Rafferty came home right behind him, though, at the end. Once they got that thing going, he definitely was on a mission to try and dethrone his teammate. Castle wound up in 3rd, with Revis just shy of making it a 1-2-3 on Jim Beaver Esports, finishing 4th. Still has to be happy with that, considering he started 12th. A 5th for Steven Spies was followed by Morton in P6. Kind of went backwards for him. Northcutt was 7th, as John Wilson was P8, and Segala, who had problems in the consolation race, climbed all the way up to 9th. A credit to him. He was the last one on the lead lap as Austin finished 10th.
In 11th, it was Robbie Robinson, who had some issues early on, followed by Chris Hazlip, Jason Menda, and these are getting into drivers that did not finish the race. Paul Thompson, Stacey Hunter, William Hargraves, Chris Davis, J.R. Shepard, Brennan Myers, and Bobby Hayes.
That brings us to our winner for tonight, Brandon Proudfoot. And Brandon, I have to start with the pre-race stuff, because we've made a big deal out of the qualifying and whatnot. And you come here tonight and suddenly you put down a stunner with the very first lap in quali. Was that kind of in response to all we've been saying?
Not directly, no. I just I was able to really figure out the track this week in practice, and didn't really show my line too much tonight. Even my teammate was a little baffled at my time, and I just finally got myself one. Got in the session right away too. That helped.
And it really proved to be important here because we saw you lead pretty much every lap of this race in the feature. Talk about those cautions, though. Was it tough on the double file restarts to keep ahead, or was it pretty easy to get the jump going?
It was mid ground. It was you didn't really get a really big jump like you could at say Charlotte or Eldora, to where you can really get the momentum going off the banking. Here at Weedsport, we really don't have that much banking, so the initial start, that top line has that a little bit more speed there at the beginning. But the big concern tonight, which I couldn't really tell myself, I'm assuming a lot of the wrecks happened in turn one, but the accordion effect, which is also common at places like this, Williams Grove, Fairbury, anytime you're running the bottom on a high momentum straightaway, it really causes that effect. And for some drivers that aren't accumulated to the conditions like tonight, it could really catch you off guard.
Yeah, you're pretty much spot on. Turn one and turn four were calamity corner for a lot of people. Now, talk about the end, though. To me, it looked like you were taking a very shallow line down into turn one on those single file restarts. Were you adjusting things at the end?
A little bit. I personally was trying to catch that inside grip there at the beginning, but it also, towards the end there, with all the cautions and having the double file restarts, I kind of got my line. As you guys know, I'm a pace guy. Kind of got accustomed to being in the inside line per se, or say if I was in a double wide situation down the straightaway, and noticed I was really overshooting the corners if I tried to go from out by the wall. So it was more of a personal adjustment, try not overshoot my corners. As far as turn four, though, I'm not sure if the word got relayed to you guys, but there is some sort of glitch here at the Speedway to where the wall sticks out a little bit more than what it should, and that's a lot of the reason why you guys were seeing the wrecks at four tonight.
We witnessed a few of those, unfortunately. In fact, I think Hargraves wound up caught in the wall at one point. Congratulations, though. Jim Beaver Esports 1-2. Anybody you want to thank for a great result for the team and yourself?
Of course, fistful of bourbon, winners get whiskey. General Tire, Polaris RZR, Vision Wheel, Rigid Industries, people downstairs with me on, girlfriend, family, you guys for doing the broadcast, Lowell for doing the league, and all the new guys that actually made it to, I believe this was our record car count for the season at 24. So nobody got sent home tonight, but we were one shy of having that one be kicked out of the Conti. So good car count for tonight for a very tough track here at Weedsport Motor Speedway.
Yeah, glad to see that kind of attendance for this place. Can't imagine for the popular tracks as we now head over to DJ, who's talking to Bobby Rafferty.
Well, Bobby, that looked like a very fun race, but it just looked like you could never quite get past your teammate.
I needed laps, man. That's what that's what I needed. Track was really, 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 really tough tonight. That's beyond even, the type of a track you'd see in a pro server. So it was interesting. Typical, New York clay. Once it gets slicked off like that, there's pretty much only one line, and especially at Weedsport, it's usually around that bottom unless your name is Matt Shepard or Stuart Friesen, and you can make that top side work. So, hey, you know what? We gave it a shot. Almost got him there at the end. He started making a few mistakes, but I'll take it. I'll take the second for the debut of my new personal sponsor, G-Coin. So we'll take that and try to continue to rebound back after blowing a virtual motor 2 weeks ago at Knoxville.
Well, you stole the other question that I was going to ask you there about the new sponsor, but how do you think it's going to fare out at Knoxville?
Oh, you mean with the truck race? I think it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to be running the tour mod race with these guys at 9 o'clock, right about the time that race is going. But I'm going to be DVRing it, and right after, you bet your butt I'm going to be parking myself on the couch with a beer and watching that race.
Fantastic, my friend. Well, anybody you'd like to thank for this very hard-fought second here tonight?
Yeah, of course. As always, I've got to first thank Bootleg Racing and you guys over at GSRC. You guys, hands down, best broadcast provider on the service. Also have to thank my team, Jim Beaver Esports. Also have to thank our primary sponsor on the car for the team, which is Fistful of Bourbon. Brandon, cheers to you, brother. Winners get whiskey. You deserve that one. Also have to thank my my personal sponsor, G-Coin. If you guys want to learn more about Gcoin, go ahead and go to their websites, gcoin.com or responsiblegold.com. Also got to thank, General Tire, Polaris Razor, Vision Wheel, the Motorsports Drop, Chris Leone, Sans Racing Fabrications, everybody, Matt Kalish, he made this car look as phenomenal as it does. Just got to thank everybody on the team for all their support. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next week.
We'll see you there for sure, Bobby. That was Bobby Rafferty, your second place finisher. And now Joe Peak is caught up with Seth Castle, your final podium finisher here from Weedsport.
Indeed, and he tried really hard to wind up in second. You and Bobby seem to just have an ongoing battle that entire race. But would you attribute how it wound up more to luck than anything, with so many of the cautions kind of catching you in third? Seth, do you have a copy? Might be having a few technical issues here with Seth. We'll see if we can get him mic'd up here in a second. He was in second and third place almost all night long, with Rafferty ahead of him and a few times managing to get ahead there for a brief moment, but it just wasn't meant to be, apparently. Let's give it one more shot here to see if we've got Seth with us. Seth Castle, do you have a copy? Looks like we won't be able to talk to him tonight. Hopefully another night for Seth. In the meantime, we definitely want to thank the Bootleg Racing League for bringing us back for another season of coverage here for the Dirt Street Stocks. But also, we have to give a thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen, proud to get a hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, DJ Sean and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed on the screen. Also, please check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a moment, because in a week's time, we're coming back with Eldora, Friday, July 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out, mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.